Relationships, but more importantly, the worst parts about them. Today, we're going to be talking about and reacting to a video called 10 Behaviors That Destroy Relationships. I'm going to give my opinions on every single one, but before we get into it, consider subscribing to my channel if you like this discussion, and also link to the original video in the description. Um, as we go through these, in the comments, I would love to hear what you have to say about some of the worst ones that you do not like. You can list all of them, but I do read the comments and I want to see what you have to say in regards to some of these. Anyway, let's get into it. Bam, 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 bam.
Hello, Psych2Goers, and welcome back to our channel. We wanted to let you know
Such a
that
soothing
it
voice.
is your ongoing support that helps us make psychology and mental health more accessible to everyone. Thank you so very much for all of your support.
No,
Now,
thank you.
let's continue. Why do relationships fall apart?
Oh,
Relationships are complicated as they are fragile. Small mistakes can destroy years of love, passion, and trust. But you may not realize what you're doing wrong. So here are 10 behaviors.
I've never seen this creator before. I'm already gonna cry. That voice is so soothing and ASMR-ish. I just want to cry. Oh, um, yeah, 10 behaviors that can damage any relationship. Maybe let's move the camera. Sorry, chat. I'm so sorry. Let's move this. Do it up here. Boom. All right.
That can damage any relationship, and maybe affecting yours too. Number 1, you stonewall your partner.
What does that even mean?
Do you avoid difficult questions and conversations? This bad habit is called stonewalling. When you stonewall your partner, you're actively avoiding painful or emotional subjects. But those subjects are important to the health of your relationship. By avoiding difficult conversations, you're harboring unresolved issues with your partner. It's okay to table a hard conversation every once in a while, but ignoring an issue doesn't make it go away.
I am not this one. I'm more of this one. Like, hey, what's going on? You know? I do want to say that there's a lot of people who just don't have relationship experience. I'm not making excuses, but obviously this is a behavior that does bother me too. But I'm more forgiving of this one because it just depends on like let's say I'm someone's first boyfriend. I'm not gonna this is not gonna be a deal breaker for me, right? And I do give more slack for people who may be newer to dating or just have a different type of personality that's a little bit more shy. I'm a lot more flexible when it comes to this, but I'm also very patient. So um, maybe there's a little bias in the sense that I know that I'm patient.
Number 2, you're too distracted. Do you give your partner your undivided attention? Do you text other people when you're together? Never underestimate the value of quality time. When you're together, your partner wants to feel important. They need to know that you enjoy spending time with them. But if you're distracted, your partner may feel ignored or neglected, and your relationship may suffer. Number 3, you get defensive.
I think with this one, this was probably real. I'm not so much this now, but I was big time when I was younger. Because I was just, always doing stuff, had stuff going on. And I was really good at staying awake and running off very little sleep. But as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that like one, I can't do this all the time, but even if I could, um, quality time is just too valuable to 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 eat into. If that makes sense. But I would admit that I had this bad. This was probably one of my worst qualities when I was younger.
Relationship may suffer. Number 3, you get defensive.
And the reason why I wanted to talk about the other one before we got into this one, I mean, we're going to talk about all of them, but I wanted to say this. I know a lot of people might have something to say about this one. Do you get defensive? Be honest. You get defensive. I'm not going to judge, but I think a lot of people do, and they don't acknowledge it because they get defensive.
Few things are as important as communication.
The
But what if
magic
your partner
word.
tells you something you don't want to hear? Your partner may, for example, think they're doing all the work in your relationship. No one likes to hear negative feedback. So, how should you react when your partner tells you something is wrong? Defensiveness can be destructive to any relationship. When you become defensive, you stop listening to your partner's concerns.
Mm.
Instead, you try to protect yourself. You
The animation.
may argue with them or turn the tables on your partner.
Yeah.
Either way, you're ignoring the real problem, and your partner doesn't feel heard.
Hmm.
Number 4,
I think that one, out of the ones we've seen, you could let me know in the comments if you agree with this. But hear me out first, and then let me know if you agree with what I'm going to say. Out of the ones we've heard so far, that one's probably the most volatile, I think, because that one has, um, because once there's a difference between stonewalling and then someone being so defensive that you just can't talk to them. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that one is probably one of the most like can lead to really bad issue, like serious issues in the relationship or like really bad problems. I feel like.
you criticize too often.
Ugh.
How often do you criticize your partner?
Shout out to all my Polish people. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Even if you mean well, critical behavior can drive a wedge in your relationship. Not only is it frustrating for your partner, excess criticism also creates a negative dynamic in your
It does.
relationship. You lose track of why you love your partner because you're too focused on their mistakes.
And I think that's where like you got to be on the same team if it's understood what the criticism is, but also like, I'm assuming she doesn't mean nagging because nagging is just annoying to anybody, right? That's just a quality we all as adults have to learn to like tone down. But I think criticizing, at least in my opinion, in my experience, um, creates this like negative feedback loop, right? Not necessarily that you're always looking for the worst things in someone, but you might end up causing the person to fail more and it just endlessly loop. You see what I'm saying? And then it's just like a self fulfilling prophecy because it can wear down a person being constantly criticized. And I'm not saying that as somebody I was guilty of it, and I've had people do it to me. So um, I do think I think that one's a really interesting one. But let me know what you think. I mean, obviously we all have different lives and in different countries. Dating is different in every country. So y'all let me know.
Number 5, you idealize your partner. Do
Mm,
you put your partner on a pedestal? You love your partner, so you may hold them to a high standard. But idealizing your partner can damage your relationship.
does
When
it?
you idealize your
Yeah.
partner, you're projecting your own preferences onto them. You love your partner for the person they could be, not who they actually are.
And I think that is ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so I say this one in the sense as somebody who's like making content and like really putting in the work to get this channel going and everything. I've started to notice that people like this, not saying that this is a bad thing, right? I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but I'm starting to notice people like this are coming into my life. And it's like, well, you don't see what I'm doing. You don't see me. You see what I could be. And I think that's like I don't know if this is common. Um, but I do think I don't know, is it actually common? This one? I feel like it's only common when it comes to like someone of status, like different statuses, right? But I don't know. I don't know. I just I can't pinpoint this one.
Your partner for the person they could be,
Yeah.
not who they actually are.
Who they actually
Number
are.
6, you ignore your past.
Oof, that's a big
No
one.
one is perfect. Every relationship has bumps and rough patches, but
I'm gonna say this one is gonna make a lot of people mad. Maybe I shouldn't. You know what? I'm not.
ignoring your troubled past could destroy your relationship.
Yes, it
Your
can.
history, good and bad, is the reason you are where you are today. It has shaped the way you feel about
When she says our pasts are not important, but she still texts all her exes, and then you try to ask her about her exes, and then she's like, "Well, you're just insecure, blah blah blah." But then it'd be like, "Who are you texting?" "Oh, they're just friends." And then you find out through the grapevine that that's actually her exes. So I'm just saying, women, Y'all need to work on this one. Okay, we're not playing this.
Your partner and the way your partner feels about you.
We're
By
not. We're
ignoring the
not. We're
past,
not
you're
moving on
overlooking
from that.
significant moments in your relationship and rejecting the struggles your relationship has yet to overcome.
Yeah.
Number 7,
But and I think too, men obviously got to do better about that too. But I think I don't know. I think men. I feel like men are a little bit less. Uh, well, they're just a friend, you know. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking from my POV. Let me know if you think I'm wrong on that. I could be.
you mislead your partner.
Ooh,
Have you ever told your partner something you didn't mean?
you stinky.
Deception can easily destroy a relationship. Lies and manipulation ruin the most important thing you and your partner have built together:
Yeah.
trust. When you stop being honest, you give your partner a reason to doubt you. Honesty isn't always easy, and some things are better left unsaid. But you should never try to deceive your partner, no matter what. This kind of behavior will destroy your relationship. Number 8,
Which I think this is actually a little bit more common now because of like how easy it is to hide things from your partner through like messages, through apps, through all this and all that. And I think because of that, it's much easier to do that. But also people feel like, how do I say? Um I hate using the context of women, but I'm going to use American women for example. American women have this really bad habit of one being loyal a certain percentage. And what do I mean by that? At least in my experience, and I know a lot of you are from a lot of country from other countries that watch my channel. So this is probably not going to apply to you. So if you're like, for example, Philippines or Poland, you guys are mostly my audience. You probably this probably doesn't apply to you, but this is what American women do. They're like 80% loyal. And then that 20% they spend always looking for other options, looking for something better. Even if they are 80% loyal, and they could stay 80% loyal with you and y'all spend the rest of life together, but she's always still spending that 20% looking at someone else, looking to go somewhere else, right? And I don't know if it's because of like how to climb the social ladder or cloud or money. I mean, it's probably a combination of all of those. But I feel like in America at least, that is what's going on. Um and I think that's where this one is a really big one. I didn't think this would be probably the bigger one that I think is the most harmful. Because men, believe it or not, we're very simple-minded when it comes to love. Because when we love someone, if the man truly loves her, he's like he's we just love. That's it. We're not complicated creatures. Um, but let me know what you think. If you're an American, do you agree with what I have to say? A lot of my opinions too, as somebody who has friends who are women, like I don't date my friends who are women, they tell me some things that are true. That's what they feel, or I have my preferences, or like not my preferences, my perspectives and my friends' perspectives, but I want to hear yours. So, and if you're from the other countries, do you see that to be true? Hell, I could be wrong in saying that it may not apply in for example, Poland. And then you telling me, no, this is actually a big thing here too. Like I that's why I love asking these questions and having these conversations.
no matter what. This kind of behavior will destroy your
It
relationship.
will always.
Number 8, you create competition.
Ugh.
In a healthy relationship, partners don't keep score. They don't care who's right and who's wrong because competition creates tension, stress, and resentment. If you're always trying to prove your partner wrong, sooner or later you're going to drive them away.
Or even like, I don't know if I want to say prove them wrong. I think that's just crazy. I feel like, but I remember when I was younger, I was super competitive, just in everything. And then it's funny now, I just don't care. But um, even in like, hey, like wanting to do stuff, like, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go this. Not because I was competing with anybody, but I was competing with myself to do things in a certain amount of time, like in my life. And my partner at the time, maybe she wasn't interested in that. And so now I'm taking it out on her. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, you don't want to do it. Well, what's wrong with you? So, um, So I think it's like this one can be very, at least in my experience, I was guilty of this. Did it ruin my relationship? I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know if this, I don't even know if this is common amongst men or women. I can't tell. I just know I was pretty guilty of this one.
Instead, by finding a solution
And not even like, and like I said, it's not even about keeping what this is what you did wrong. It's not even that. It's just more of like wanting to do like to improve, but also not considering the rate of which the other person in my relationship is at. Right? It was more selfish, I think, than that. If that makes sense, I don't know if that makes sense.
that makes both of you happy and learning how to compromise, you can create a healthier relationship in the long run.
Yeah,
Number 9, you shame your partner.
I am gonna hold my breath. Anyway, let's see what she has to say.
Do you pick on your partner? Many couples playfully tease each other in private, but making fun of your partner in public can damage your relationship.
Yeah.
Instead of a playful back and forth, you're openly shaming your partner for their mistakes and placing them in a very uncomfortable situation. And number 10,
Before I don't want to. You know what? I have a lot to say about the shame one, but this is if you made it this far in the video, this is your homework. I'm not gonna give my opinion on this one, but I want to see you all. If there's any of them that you comment on, I want to hear your take on this. Is this very common? Is it not common? Is it even more common now that we have social media so ingrained in everything we do? I look, I have a lot to say on that one, but I want to hear what y'all have to say on, and maybe in another video in the future I'll talk about it. But I really want to. I don't want to say what I have to say if I'm just the only one, you know. I want validation, but let me know.
you expect too much.
Oof.
Do you get
Yep.
angry when your partner can't read your mind? You expect your partner to know what you want and what you're thinking all the time, but that's entirely unfair to them. It's your responsibility to vocalize the things you want. If you don't express yourself, your partner will never know anything is
Mhm.
wrong. If you expect your partner to magically know all the
Oh
answers,
my goodness.
your
Yeah.
relationship may slowly fall apart. Do
Slowly.
you struggle with that
Slowly. You think? So for me, okay, I was really bad about this one.
situation? And number 10, you
You expect too much. So here's where I wouldn't say that like I expect every person to read my mind. I am very much a realistic person in that sense. But what I do sometimes is like for example, I expect communication. And you're saying, well, that doesn't sound like too much. Here's the context. If I'm dating somebody, say for example, who's never had the opportunity to practice communication, why should I expect them immediately to know how to communicate? And so I've been in the points before where I'm like, "Hey, talk to me. I want to hear what you have to say. Like we need to talk." And this is just well, they never had that experience, so it's not fair. So learning having to how do I say, just because you're further along in your relationship and your lifestyle and your self-improvement doesn't mean that how do I say like it's kind of weird because then you would say I'm putting myself into this trap without explaining everything. So people can be at two different levels in their life, right? But the thing about love and relationships is sometimes you want to make it work. You'll, bring that person up with you. But sometimes if you're improving, and then you don't actually, if this other person doesn't actually do it, you can get a huge divide like this. Um, I don't know. I hope that makes sense. But as I'm getting older, I'm finding that it's just easier to date people on the same level as you. But when I was much younger, I was always ahead of people when it came to like I wouldn't say ahead, but I was always trying to work on myself. Because like that's the irony, right? Is when you're working on yourself, you're not technically better. You're just trying to get better. Whereas most people were just kind of coasting. You see what I'm saying? So there was always this divide, this gap. Um, God, this stuff is so complicated, but interesting. Because we're all human. We all experience this in some form.
you expect too much. Do you get
But
angry when
oh, they already saw this part. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Um, try to. I will say this: leave like names out and stuff. Don't dox people, but let me know what you think. Love you guys. Check out the next one. Bye bye. This video is brought to you actually by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.